So good morning, Terry. Thanks very much for
Morning,
meeting up today, and it's a glorious day. There's one key issue that people have with regard to housing in Cornwall, and a lot of the people that are going to be viewing this are very concerned about the entire housing situation in Cornwall. How do you feel about the issues of second home ownership, affordable housing, and what do you think is the way forward and what can be done?
Well, it's been a real issue for me over many years. It's one of the key campaign issues. I was instrumental in bringing shelter into Cornwall in the mid-1990s because we'd seen the levels of rural deprivation and poverty, which of course shelter only really dealt with urban poverty at that time. I was talking to a young couple in Truro yesterday who I went to visit, and they were saying they both work, they have one young child, they're living in a basement flat in this city, and they just cannot afford to move out of this flat, and they can't get a council house because they're just so far down the list. When you consider there are 18,000 families on the housing register in Cornwall today, and we have 7,000 empty homes in Cornwall, but we also have so many second homes. One of the key problems is that the second homes were given a 50% discount on council tax by the Conservatives, which meant it was even easier for people to have a second home. I think we should at least have double the council tax, if not more, if I had my way, and that money should be ring-fenced to go and provide new affordable homes for local families.
Excellent. And what do you think Cornwall needs to do with regard to affordable housing?
Well, we've got to be able to build more, such as we've got at St Agnes, where there's been a new development there. We need to get the parish councils involved, have community land trusts, so land can come forward from local landowners, be used by the local village, and with local needs policy, so that it is families that are key workers, firemen, policemen, teachers, people who can't afford homes here, have the chance to a stairway to their own house by owning part of it, or indeed just ordinary social housing. We have to remember that the biggest problem has been the sell-off of council houses, the right to buy policy, again the Conservatives, which has decimated our villages. We used to have a policy where we had homes in every village. It was called council houses, and now those have gone, and they're being used as second homes primarily in many of our pretty villages. They've gone, and now we're having to start all over again. And the Conservatives at that time wouldn't even let you use the money to build more houses. I was totally against that policy at the time, and here we are, second and third generation, now living in awful conditions quite often.
Thank you.
Looking right down the camera. Yeah.
What do you actually feel about the issues of second home ownership? A lot of people feel that having a sort of unlimited number of second homes is part of the problem, but can you just let people know what your views on second homes are?
I think we now must have some sort of planning controls. I go along with my colleague Matthew Taylor, the previous MP for Truro and St Austell. He wrote a very good report which Gordon Brown asked him, and it was quite an accolade that the Labour government asked a Liberal Democrat to write a report on rural housing. And I know the Conservatives have stolen some of those ideas as well, which is great because we've all agreed that we've got to do something. And I agree with Matthew's summation, which is that we need to have smaller developments in our villages which are for local needs, land trusts and the parish councils giving people rights to options to those houses, and to move away from this huge thousands of houses in donuts being built around our cities and towns, where there's little sense of community, there's little people don't feel they're part of anything, whereas in our villages of course they do, and there they grow and the children go to the local school and they become part of the spirit of Cornwall and the community of Cornwall, and that is the way forward. So we have a much more slower growth, but a much more involved growth, people living and working in the villages and understanding village life.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Is there anything else that you have to say?
Well, as I say, I was very involved with shelter, bringing it in. It's been a lifelong interest of mine that we have decent housing. One of the key things I would like to do if I get to Parliament is to make sure that accommodation that is rented out, that the environmental standards of those properties are fit for purpose, that people aren't expected to live in damp, cold places, and that any housing benefits that are paid out, there is a link in councils between the housing benefit paid out and the fitness of the accommodation to live in, and that would be one of my key projects in Parliament.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.